the suppression of the use of marijuana and of the forces lurking behind it are the most important jobs this department is now engaged in. In 1930, the records on marijuana in the Washington office of the Narcotics Division scarcely filled a small folder like this. Today, they fill cabinets.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, Coloradians, and everyone that's smart enough to listen from the outside.
It's one of the most amazing plants we've ever discovered.
The pot party, the trippers, the grasshoppers, the hip ones, all gathered in secrecy and flying high as a kite.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to another week of Stoned Appetit. Eve, why do you press that button with such vigor? You really jammed it down there, and then you wonder why these buttons don't work and I have to fix them. This is your host, Kip Wilson, and to my left, I got CB with me for another week. How are you, CB?
I'm licking my wounds from yesterday.
Yeah, we had a big weekend. We're going to dive into all that, but before that, let's check in with Eve. How are you, sister? Last week she was fantastic. Remember that? And this week she's just great. Who pissed in your Cheerios?
On a scale, is great better than fantastic for you, or?
Yeah.
Okay.
So
well, what happened in the past week that downgraded you to great?
Talk to us, Eve. That's why we do this podcast.
This is a safe space. We're in a basement.
I'm not going to lie. It's actually two windows with bars across it, Eve. And for the same sense, this place is going to be decked out in a month's time, and people are going to be like, wow, they actually have their shit together. And really, it's just a big facade of two idiots sitting in a basement. We have a kick-ass episode for you today, but before we dive into it, I guess the stories from the weekend will also entail the sponsors, but give an ode to our sponsors, Chris.
Oh, RIKI, let me tell you, those things go well with football. Holy shit. Yesterday, I think I was drinking on the vodka with lime, and that was top-notch.
I was on the tequila kick, and I tell you what, Chris, you couldn't have said it better. A crisp cold boy and Saturday or Sunday football. Unfortunately, both the Broncos and Mississippi State lost, so I was drinking away the pain. As someone so eloquently said, it was helping them numb the feeling of loss. But by God, those things are delicious. I could put down 12 packs, and that has a whole fifth of booze in it. And, without batting an eye, they're so good. This is real life testimony. We are doing this from the cave, and I'm very glad it's 62 degrees down here. Heavens to Betsy. Yesterday was gnarly, and large in part was thanks to our friends over at RIKI, but also to the Breckenridge Distillery fam. They've got, a great showcase going on up there. They're the official whiskey of the Broncos, and they perform a lot better than the football team. They have set up a great little setup in the stadium, and that was awesome. So thanks to them. The whole story is coming in a minute. But we would be remiss if we didn't give a shout-out to our friends over at Ritual, Colorado as well, as we're sitting here stocking the house with new glass like the ones from our guest coming up at the end of the episode. The old tried and trues, the ones we love and reach for on a regular basis, are those from our friends over at Ritual. Local business located at 2521 Sheridan Boulevard. They're doing the Lord's work, and you don't have to be a cannabis connoisseur. We're just idiots that have microphones. You can be a cannabis first timer. You could be a casual consumer. Whatever your niche or genre or zone would be, you don't have to fret. There's something for Ritual. And if you don't live in Colorado, don't sweat. You can go to ritual-co.com. That's ritual-co.com, and you can order there. I don't know I forgot the promo code, but that's because we're really high. But I think it's Stoned Appetit, capital S, capital A, get you free shipping across the country in the Continental 48. Shout out to our friends over at Ritual. Chris, where did your weekend start to go up, and then how did it feel on Monday morning?
My weekend peaked yesterday at around probably 3 o'clock in the afternoon. That's when I feel like I was doing my best. We were living the sweet life. And then it probably hit a big roadblock this morning when I got up for work.
Yeah, Monday morning hit like a Mack truck today. I'm not going to lie. definitely licked the wounds a little bit here. I had a kick-ass sandwich today, but we would be remiss if we didn't at least run it back to last weekend. I have something I need to talk about, which is Steamboat, Colorado is a fucking vibe. Shout out to the folks, the Charlie and Dave from Billow Premium Cannabis. I went up there and to one of their cannabis dining experiences. It's a private dinner that is set on Elkstone Farm, and on Elkstone Farm, Chef Russell Goodman is knocking this thing out of the fucking park, Chris. So he does private dinners on this billionaire badass farm, like 750 acres, and they farm a lot of it. They have cattle, they have horses, they have greenhouses the size of football fields, and then they have like pristine drying rooms. They do everything from, they use florals to sarvis berries and everything in between. And we're going to have Chef on the podcast in the coming weeks for sure. But oh my God. So our friends from Green Dot Labs, Dialed In, and Keith Cola were there, as well as the vendors for the cannabis event, similar to the ones we've seen around the Colorado area for those that have allegedly heard about or thrown those kind of events.
Yeah.
It was a paired experience. They had a little bit of live music that was just serenading 90s remixes in the background. It was awesome. The food was unreal, and they do them in a wave of sizes. You can have as small as a 6-top and have a chef's tasting, because they have this badass kitchen on the farm where the chef constantly works. He does multiple events, whether weekly or monthly, not all of them cannabis. You don't have to be a cannabis consumer to hire Chef Russell Goodman at Elkstone Farm. Holy shit. But this cannabis dinner was legit. I took notes. I took pictures too. And we'll make sure that we start trying to incorporate some things that they were really doing well out there. But can't thank them enough. And Steamboat is nice and crispy already. It was awesome.
What was the favorite bite?
I'm glad you asked, Chris. So I mentioned the sarvis berry, which is probably the first time we've ever mentioned that term here on this
What
here
is
pod.
it?
It's like a gooseberry. It's just a little red purple berry that semi-sweet, a little tartness actually, not as sweet as like a fully ripened blueberry, but they happen to grow in droves here on this farm that's in the Yampa Valley. And so it was harvest season for a lot of they use all products from their farm. The only thing that didn't come from the farm was the trout, which was still Colorado caught trout. They just didn't happen to have a river on their stream on their property. But the best courses I enjoyed, there was the salad with the sarvis berry vinaigrette was immaculate. They have grapes of their own on the farm. They did a gazpacho with a white grape and then had it with a basil oil. Oh, but the trout, Chris, they had a steak dish with an unbelievable tomato like gastrique over the top, and they had like field peas underneath. Again, all product, including the beef. K0122 died for our dinner. Shout out to that cow. But at the same time, they they don't skip a fucking beat. And then they have this roots room, which I don't know if you know what that is, but I know what it is now. So I'm going to tell for those that maybe didn't know what that was as we're talking about it. It's a room that stays the same temperature all year round, like 60 degrees or 58 degrees.
To like store root vegetables.
Root all year round. And then I guess you can flip it on, the seasons or whatever. And so like, even if they're 27 feet of snow, which is what happens in Yampa, everything that they can harvest from Meow can still be used for all of their winter dinner series. And if you're thinking, oh, I would love to do this during like ski season, but I'm sure the farm is closed during winter. Oh, Chris, you would be sorely mistaken, because that farm is fucking up and running, and they're doing dinners in what is pretty much a jungle of a greenhouse. They have lemon and lime trees. I was just plucking blueberries and figs off, just eating to my heart's content. It was an unbelievable experience. We're going to have Chef talk about his journey and how he found himself up in the Yampa Valley. But shout out to Chef Russell Goodman and his wife, Katie. They were unbelievable hosts. They're just wizards in the kitchen. They run a tight ship in the front of house, which is where I took a lot of notes. but it was a knockdown, drag out dinner and great experience. Also, shout out to the the Sarvis berry sorbet that I had at the end of the night. No big deal. And a little panna cotta with fresh berries from the farm. Fuck. It reminded me of when JB, old Chef Brunson, used his own steaks at our Wheat Ridge Farm dinner we did.
Oh, yeah.
But we didn't. We got to pet baby goats, and they were birthed on the scene. But here, they were taking all of the produce from the dinner with shit they grow, which is one of the cooler experiences, is seeing that go from day of to night of. And I was able to follow Chef throughout. And then we had a slumber party at his house afterwards.
That's awesome.
It was awesome. And it didn't stop there. I ate like a king Friday night, Saturday night, and Sunday we had a big time at that game. But shout out to May's Food Truck. And how about that hamburger? We found another. I know today's National Cheeseburger Day as we're recording that, and we don't actually celebrate those kinds of holidays. But if we were, that burger this weekend is in the pantheon of that conversation.
Oh, dude, yeah, and I forgot, like, May's Saturday morning was perfect after going to Red Rocks Friday night. I mean, those gorditas.
Green Sky and Teskey Brothers?
Yeah, that was a fun vibe. But, I mean, those May's gorditas are just, they have to be the best around. Because I don't know many places serving gorditas, but if they did, they wouldn't be as good as May's. Have you had these gorditas before, Eve? Damn. All right, well... yeah, we're going to have to get you one because they are fucking delicious.
Yeah, so we were kind of puddle jumping around town. Starbuds with Hispanic Heritage Month starting out had a food truck out at their location in Glendale, and they're going to continue having them out there all month, I believe. May's was excellent. Perfect way to get your ass kicked in college football. And then the hamburger from Double Wide Sandwiches. That's the name of the food truck that was posted up at Standing Akimbo. Holy shit. It's in the Snipe Twans category for sure, in that it's those thin patties, a very soft potato bun. They have 2 cheeses. They come with a side of pickled red onions, which gets me all fancy.
I love that.
I know. They're so delicious. I put them on anything. Like if I see them at a taco bar, I'll put those puppies in my pocket and take them home and just eat them. Raw dog. Love them. My breath is atrocious. But at the same time, I thought that was a nice addition. And then they don't stop there. They have a bunch of Northeastern favorites. So your chopped cheeses, and they have a mortadella sandwich and a pepperoni, like an Italian with fresh mozzarella and pesto. Is that how I say that? Mozzarella?
How would you say it, Eve? Well done.
Yeah. So you know Italian really well, huh? I don't think that's it. Okay, all right. And that's Eve's Italian Hour here on the podcast. Fuck yeah.
She's on Babbel.
But they have a litany of great sandwiches, and they're going to be popping up over at Standing Akimbo in October again as well. But you're going to start hearing that name mentioned amongst like the bangers that are in the city. So shout out to those folks. And then, yeah, Sunday we went to the Breckenridge Distillery pregame party where that was awesome.
That was incredible. That was more than I could have imagined. Like, I mean, we got separated there for a minute.
I know.
And I went to the VIP tailgate event.
Ooh, talk dirty to me.
Which was massive. So it's just this one big tent. They've got food set up at each side. And then, like, in the middle of it, they have a silent auction going on with all this, like, NFL football memorabilia. And it wasn't even all, like, Broncos. But it just had everything in there.
That's all. It really did. It was like a...
free drinks everywhere.
Oh, man. The amount of RIKIs, and then I responsibly consumed a fair amount of Breckenridge vodka yesterday. And y'all have heard us when they were sponsors of the podcast. We harped on just like hammering their clear booze. And now they have it in a can form, in form of RIKI. And then they also just had them in the bars. Like I went to the Bourbon Club, which is the most choice thing I've ever done in my life. Like, I don't know. Like, I've done some really cool wedding receptions, and I'm like, oh, this is a really neat spot. This place was awesome. Everywhere you turned, it was like, sir, would you like a cocktail? And I'm like, sure. And they're like, would you like some crab legs? I'm like, hot damn. Like, short ribs? Sure.
And then we had candy you could just grab. Starburst as far as the eye could see.
It was wonderful. And I got a little drunk, and I left my Starburst at the game, and that's my fault. But at the same time, the Broncos, I don't know how the flag doesn't get called there with the Hail Mary touchdown. I thought the whole place was going to go ruckus, but so many folks had left early that it kind of dissipated in some capacity. And by the wind had already been let out of a lot of the sails. And then they score, and everyone gets this false sense of hope, and then only to get mauled on the 2-point conversion and not get the flag. So the game just ends in like abrupt sadness. Like, it always feels like when someone gets that really like super high, that it's just going to kind of flow into the next play, and you're going to kind of have that momentum going.
Sir.
It was the exact antithesis of that, and I can't tell you how disappointing that walk out of there was. Everybody was like,
fuck.
They were up early, and then they came back late. Oh, my God.
Yeah, it was funny because, like, the booth erupted. Like, our box erupted when that Hail Mary was caught, and then all of a sudden, seconds later, everybody was just like, oh, cool. Let's go our separate ways.
All right, now everyone's leaving. But that was a kick-ass time, and it led into a fun recording today, Chris. Anything else of consequence happened this weekend?
Nuh-uh, but just shout out to all the Breck members who were at the event yesterday. They were really nice and treated us to a great time.
They did, so we can't thank them enough. We probably, maybe, I don't know if we would get invited back. I don't know.
I think so.
I put myself in the corner and just watched football for a little while there. I was like, you don't have to get up and yell. You don't even care about these teams. So I was like, I'm just going to sit down here. And I just watched that game for a solid 45 minutes and just kind of wilted away. And they just kept losing. And I was like, what the fuck? Like, the whole time I watched. It was very depressing. But at the same time, I feel for the Broncos fans because they were nothing but hospitable. The drinks were flowing. The food was delicious. I don't think I need to eat any shrimp for a long while. I may take a week off or two. I also need to get back in the gym. We have to create a challenge for that. I don't know. I'm going to have to do something. I feel awful.
Is it like shame or guilt or like just physical?
I just feel like gout is coming, or like maybe I have type 2 diabetes now. I've just eaten so much, and food season's just around the corner. But I did get us 2 tickets to Eat Denver's Harvest Week.
Ooh.
October 2nd, 3rd, 4th, and 5th, Chris, will be dinners thrown by Eat Denver and members of the community and the industry. They've done this for a long while now. I've been able to attend a time or two, and it's awesome. We'll bring a big bag of goodies for the chefs because they're always treating everyone with like royalty. But it's a kick-ass dinner. It's for a great cause. Tickets are available. You can go through Eat Denver or type in Harvest Week on Google. I got cotton mouth. But that was a pretty good ad read. I knocked that out of the park, and I got you we got 2 tickets. You want to go?
Yeah, fuck yeah, dude. It's going to be great.
Y'all grab your tickets. You can go through eatdenver.com. And without further ado, or do we have anything else? Do we miss anything? Did you give us an Eve fact on Aaron's episode?
That sounds like a fucking lie. Well, I'm not doing that, so.
Is it tapioca? Okay, I know that one. All right. See, I am listening, Eve.
We do care.
Well, for Chris, I hope you have a great week at work. Good luck with everything. We have a kick-ass guest joining us, Arend Richards from the Cirrus Social Club. He also owns Seshware cannabis line. He's a genius, and he's a hoot and a holler to hang out with. So there we go, Eve. All right, there. That's all. Welcome back. We've got a kick-ass interview. Arend, I forgot to ask your fucking last name, so let's stop and start again. What's your last name?
Richard.
Damn it. Let's run with it. I like it. At least I don't have to learn a pronunciation. We have Arend Richards joining us today. The internet celebrity. He knows the cannabis game better than most. He knows hospitality better than all, as we've been guests in his house, and now he is a guest in ours. Coming to y'all from our first guest interview in the new studio. It's still bare bones, but we like the foundation. Is the founder of the Cirrus Social Club. Arend, thank you for joining me.
Oh, Kip, thanks for having me. It's an honor to be here. It's an honor to be the first interviewee in this basement that does have some distinct things that remind me of my childhood. It's hard to put a finger on what it is, though.
The good things, like growing up, was it the Super Nintendo that we have up there on the wall? Or the rocking chair that's on the floor? So at this age, I'm a little too old. I can't get out of it.
Yes.
It's those things, right?
It's those things.
Or is it the chic bong that was just gifted to us as a housewarming gift? Because that reminds me of my like middle school, high school basement days.
Yeah, I wish that I had something like that in my basement and when I was growing up. No.
Yeah, we had the cheap plastic ones that were like, one color and you could kind of see through the tube.
Yeah, I wasn't like a big cannabis smoker until I was 22. I did once in high school. That's
really?
It. Yeah.
And now you're like one of the largest movers and shakers in the industry. That's pretty surprising.
If you say so, Kip, I will take that.
I will say that. Well, Arend, we like to start every episode the same way, kind of getting to break the ice and get to know the guests. Are you a transplant or a native to Colorado?
Born and raised.
Get the fuck out, really?
Thornton, Colorado.
You're
yeah.
a unicorn.
Thornton High School, class of 08. Woo woo, go Trojans. Went to University of Northern Colorado on a full ride scholarship for opera.
Go Bears.
Didn't finish, but I did go.
Wait, time out. For opera?
I know, isn't that so weird?
You've got pipes?
I do. I used to. A lot more too. Yeah. I don't really sing anymore except for fun and in private with friends and in karaoke nights when we're all drunk at my house on a Friday.
I have a sneaking suspicion you're not scared to sing, whether it be in the backseat of a car ride, showers, or just like walking down the stairs getting ready for the day.
Well, yes, but in front of a crowd, I get really bad stage fright.
Why? You mentioned that you didn't finish.
Yeah.
What happened? Have a little too much fun?
No, sadly enough, my dad's house got foreclosed on, so I left school to go help him.
All right, let's take that out. Fuck.
Yeah, no. It's okay. It's real life struggle of, a Colorado native. You know what I mean?
I do. So does the family still call Thornton home, or
No.
are you the only one still standing here in town?
I'm literally like the only person left in my family. A lot of my friends from high school, they all moved away. It's a different place than it was when I was growing up here for sure. I literally, my sister's here. It's just me and my sister.
Well, I can only imagine. I used to come out here to vacation, like ski and things of that nature, but we didn't spend as much time growing up in Denver per se. So like seeing the throwbacks to like just fucking 1999, you're like, oh, there was one bar downtown. Union Station was like the only thing in that area. And then Hickenlooper started a brewery and all that jazz. But the whole city's changed. So when everybody leaves, we've seen this influx of new people and new business.
Yeah, between like Denver and where I grew up in Thornton, it was like a field. And now it's full of just things. You know what I mean?
There's just smash burgers and like fucking Top Golfs everywhere.
Literally.
Well, did you ever have the itch to kind of like follow suit and get the hell out of Dodge? Or did you just want to stick around? Or did you do a little bit of that, leave and then come back?
I did live in Manhattan for a little while.
Oh,
a couple
New York.
years.
Eve is our resident Northeasterner.
I knew I liked you, Eve. I knew I liked you.
You could sense it.
Why don't you ever laugh when I say something nice?
Say something funny. I don't know.
She's like, I've been waiting.
She's been with us since May. I said tons of funny shit this summer.
I've laughed like 3 times.
God damn.
Oof, you better up your game, kid. You better up your game.
We keep Eve here to make sure that I stay even keeled because I live up, in the clouds, thanks in part to the sesh gift and things of that nature. Mm-hmm. Okay, so how was Manhattan? What brought you back to Colorado?
Manhattan was incredible. Lived in LA for a little while too. Moved to Manhattan to pursue somewhere between like Broadway musical stuff, again, like singing, loved it. Wanted to be on SNL. I wanted to do stand-up comedy. So there was like this like really weird performance thing that was happening. Worked managing really nice restaurants in Manhattan while I was there. Had 2 jobs usually most of the time because you have to. And then I started a YouTube channel while I was in Manhattan as like a side gig. And I randomly one day was like, had some weed. It was still very much illegal in New York at the time. And I had some weed and I was like, you know what? I remember the first time I smoked weed, I didn't like know how to do it. And I like the pipe, I'm like, do you light it from the bottom? I was so confused. So I was like, let me just,
crack pipe.
Literally.
We've all been there.
Yes. So I was like, let me just make a video teaching people how to smoke weed from a pipe. Cause that's like something I know how to do. And overnight, that video gets 500,000 views and born the Gay Stoner, which I was known on YouTube as for 2 years, grew a channel to 190,000 subscribers. YouTube deleted me in 2018. I moved back to Denver during that time. So that's the thing is my YouTube channel started popping off. Their word got around New York and Jersey City where I was living at the time that I was smoking weed and the cops were like, sir, you know that that's illegal. And I was like, let me go back to Colorado if this is my career that I'm going to go for.
That's so surprising because obviously anybody loves to tell on folks for cannabis. We've all learned that, and we'll talk more about that when we get into other stuff. But it's such a big city. Like, I figured there'd be bigger things to worry about than the viral sensation that lives down the hall.
Right. So like in the 2 years I was in New York, first year I was in Manhattan, second year I went to Jersey City, worked in Manhattan. So this is Jersey City when it started getting big.
Okay.
And that is like a small, big city. Everyone knows everyone in Jersey City. So word gets out pretty quick.
Damn. And we have some, obviously it's probably changed since you left. We have some friends that have some property over there, and it's a gorgeous
legal
skyline.
now.
Yeah, and it's legit-ish. Yeah. I know that they've had some hiccups with how they've rolled out, and now they've recently, another head rolled in New York's cannabis market today as they've changed the policies with how to get a license for your dispensaries.
Right.
And because of that, they've let some of the staff go that was maybe in cahoots behind the scenes that was stonewalling progress.
Corruption?
Surprising.
New York?
Get out. I come from the Louisiana, Mississippi area where it's now starting to kind of become medicinally legal, but the corruption is just rampant. Like, if you're not paying to play, then you're not going to be able to get your hands in it.
And that's the thing about the city of Denver. I don't think it's corrupt. I think it's just hand doesn't know what head's doing sometimes. No offense. Love you, city of Denver. Can't wait to open and bring a lot of tourism here, but I've been paying rent on a building for a year because you have to get a license. Took 8 months to get licensure. It's crazy. But anyway.
Well, so that's what we want to kind of talk about, because a couple of weeks ago we talked about the cannabis tourism scene, the hospitality scene. And so we wanted to sit down because you are, I made the joke of the unicorn being the Colorado native, but you're the unicorn that figured out how to get through the fucking E&L and med to get an actual hospitality license. So I want to ask you first, how did we come up with the concept of Cirrus, and how did we get to the point of, we're looking for property? Let's kind of like, obviously YouTube helped kind of pay the bills to get you there?
Yes, and then it was when my channel got deleted, I co-founded WeedTube, which went on to be the world's largest cannabis social media platform. I ran that for a few years. That put some money in my bank. In 2022, Colorado's laws changed to allow for marijuana hospitality, they call it. And that's when I left my job at WeedTube to full-time really pursue opening a thing. And it was funny, as you said, like, what's the story of building Cirrus and then getting a property, but it's actually the other way around. Step one was finding a property. I didn't have a concept yet. I had a few ideas of what it could be. I was like tossing around different, if it was like going to be a small venue, it could have been like a little local gay bar. We could have done drag shows. Like, the original first thing I ever tweeted was like, hey, gay people, would you love a bar where you could watch a drag show and smoke weed? And it went viral on Twitter. It was huge. And that's what really spurred me doing this. So that was like a little idea. Then there were some other concepts I was toying with. Toured properties for about 2 months with a realtor. As you know, there's so many setbacks for the city of Denver and Colorado for where a marijuana hospitality business can be.
It's literally fucking impossible. Like, you have to have, like, the checklist is like 92 things. Like, you can't be near a church. You can't be near a school. You can't be too close to a dispensary.
Drug rehabilitation centers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, there's so many things that, like, nowadays it's impossible. It's like, you can't be near a Starbucks, like whatever.
Yeah.
So you found something, but it was an arduous process.
It was an arduous process. I would say, we would find things, we would find out that they wouldn't qualify. And I think I toured probably 10 properties in total. And the property that I found when I first toured it, I was like, this is a good location. Colfax and Steele between City Park and Cherry Creek. This is a great location. But this is a 1985 remodeled Taekwondo studio with drop ceilings and one of those bouncy board floors. And I just could not.
Bouncy board floor?
You know what I mean? Like when you do yeah. So the whole floor is that.
We did gymnastics growing up.
Right.
I know that floor.
So I'm looking at it and I'm like, I just don't see it. And the owner's there that day, great guy. Tiger Kim himself, which is what the Taekwondo studio.
You met Tiger Kim?
I talk to him once a month at least.
That's wonderful.
Yeah, he's a great guy. He was there with us when I was touring it at first, and he was like, I want to show you something. And he gets out a ladder and he pops up this ladder and he takes a broom and he knocks out one of the ceiling panels and he shines a light and he says, the whole ceiling is this big, beautiful barrel ceiling from 1939. When you take this ceiling out of here, it becomes a completely different space. So I like crawl up the ladder. I'm like looking up there and I'm like seeing it. I'm like, okay, this is the story. This is what we're going with. really decent rent comparative to some other things. There was another building that was like brand new, really cool. It was like a snowboard factory. It was hella cool. Like it would have been easy to flip into Cirrus. Would have cost almost nothing. But I was like, you know what? The landlord was giving me grief about that one. And I was like, let's do it. This looks like a really fun adventure. And that's how we ended up with our property on Colfax and Steel.
I love how you mentioned something, and I love how that you found like this like buried gem. It's kind of like, it reminds me of like when someone pulls up carpet and they're like, holy fuck, why would you ever put this over a hardwood floor?
Wait till I tell you what we found when we pulled up the carpet.
Oh, I can't wait. Bouncy floors.
Yeah.
But at the same time, you also mentioned something that I guess sparked my curiosity, was that you floated the idea of doing a gay bar for cannabis stoners, and then having like all of the festivities and events that go along with it.
Like a 2,000 square foot space.
Yeah, just
small
like some,
space.
Casual and whatnot.
Yep.
You're doing it different than everyone else that we've seen, Tetra, Jazz, the ones that we're seeing in Vegas come about. Like what we're doing in the Stoned Appetit location. You're doing it much differently than all of those.
Yep.
You're appealing to the largest residual income based demographics in the country. The white whale, the buffalo that every cannabis brand and dispensary wants to captivate this audience.
Yep.
Was that intentional from the start, or was it the viral tweet that was like, oh, we're onto something here.
Oh my God.
Why don't we tailor it specifically to that?
I love that setup. So we get Cirrus. It's 8,600 square feet.
That's a big fucking location.
Huge
dude.
building, huge location. And I'm like, okay, well, if this is what we're doing, then whatever the concept is has to get the most people in the world seshing together. Like it has to be filled up every single night for this to really work. So that's when I start thinking about the concept. And I think my brain works in a way that's like very mainstream. Like I think I could market to a target customer. Do you know what I mean? Like that's kind of how my brain works. I can appease that type of customer. So I'm like, what is the largest amount of people to get in the door? And it kind of hit me when I had a phone call with my Nana, who's my grandma, but she's too young to be called grandma, so she won't let you call her that. And I had a phone call with her after I got the building, and I was like, Nana, will you come when I open? And she's like, Arend, of course I'll be there. She's never smoked weed. And I was like, light bulb, I have to make this place so that my Nana will come and have an experience. And that's where Cirrus really started rolling out. And that's when I had this bigger vision of not just like creating a space where she would go, but create a space that will flip what the entire world thinks weed is on its fucking head.
I love it. I mean, and you're exactly right. Like, how do you get someone that, well, I'm not really a smoker. I'm not going to go to the dispensary on a regular basis, but I'd be willing to go hang out in a gorgeous location that was like tailored to an enjoyable experience as a non-consumer that wants to maybe dip their toe into it as well. You
create a social experience that's in high demand on everyone's feed that everyone has to try.
So you did something interesting talking about the feed. You posted I saw you did the video, which is the viral TikTok with the map, and it shows you the location from the outside. You're starting to tip your hand on what the inside will look like as well.
I am.
That grand ballroom, for those that haven't seen, give them your quick social plug.
Does Cirrus Social Club on Instagram, and me at Arend Richard, AREND Richard. It's spelled weird. My parents were cool.
Yeah, that's coming from a Kip
cool.
that's never gotten a coffee cup with his name properly on it, or ever found one of those little keychain name tags.
Oh, never.
Never. You're fucked. I'm fucked.
Yeah.
Eve may be okay, just because the Christians down south probably print a lot of those with her name.
Pretty sure Christians don't like Eve. She kind of ruined it for us all, Not you, but the OG Eve, like eater of the apple.
She is our OG Eve. We call her Evatha. Maybe that one will be on one of those little nameplates.
I can never find my name on shit.
No.
I'm not even joking. Keychains, anything like that.
Really?
I never find it.
Huh.
And I'll find like Eva, Evelyn.
Yeah.
I don't find
I
it.
can believe the Evelyn. That one for sure, but that sucks.
I don't find Eve.
Evelyn for long?
No.
Just straight Eve?
Mm-hmm.
Score.
How long have you known each other? You never asked me.
We get an Eve fact every day. Again, she doesn't like talking to me, so we just talk work stuff, and then she has to give us an Eve fact every episode, so that both Chris and I and our community get to know a little bit more about Eve, and we make her kind of become a butterfly. She's coming
now
out.
we know
for
that
us.
Eve is not short for anything.
There you go.
Yeah, that doesn't count as an
Amazing.
Eve fact,
Okay.
though. That doesn't count. You have to give us a whole new one. She hates melons. Is that what was last week? Cantaloupe? Fuck, I forgot.
Coconut?
Coconut, that's it.
Me too, Eve.
I forgot.
Can't stand it.
Yeah, so we learn something new every day. I
doesn't
remember,
remember
she
anyway.
likes strawberries. I remember what she likes, not what she doesn't like, besides Kip.
That's the way his brain works.
Yeah.
But anyways, back to the topic at hand. So you just recently tipped your hand a little bit and showcased the Grand Ballroom, which I think is something that is going to be huge. We host expos, we host psilocybin events, all of these things just down the road from your soon-to-be location. You're going to be able to throw fucking festivals or conferences in this place.
Theoretically, so the Grand Ballroom is called the Rose Room. It is...
Idiot, Kip.
No, it's okay. And just for the listener at home, there's that's not all of Cirrus. So the bigger area is the main lounge, and that will stay under wraps from the world as long as I can make, preferably until the doors open. Like I am trying to keep that under wraps. The Rose Room is a 3,000 square foot space, seats 50 people if the tables are in there. You could fit a bit more if they were standing. And what we did was we wanted to create a more neutral palette, even though it's still like this blush color and it's, got rosy. But we wanted to create a more neutral palette to where anyone's wedding colors or brand colors could fit in. For me, when I see it, what you're saying about it, everybody's so excited for. I'm excited for that as well. What I'm really excited to see the Rose Room used for is for a rehearsal dinner for a large family before a wedding. So like 30 adults from a family, catered dinner, and we get them all high before. Imagine that the night before your wedding.
I mean, to be fair, it is better than waking up and being like, fuck, my head hurts. I got to go stand in the heat.
I got to go kiss someone and give my life to them in perpetuity now, and I'm hungover.
Oh, that part too. I forgot about that. Yeah. I was thinking of like just having to sweat it all out. I was
Right.
like, man.
You weren't thinking about being the groom.
No, I wasn't. I was thinking of just being one of the other people. That's
Period.
on me.
I'm thinking about the bride. I'm out here thinking about the bride.
And so it's tailored a little bit more to the 25 to 55, and Nana, who's just over 55.
Don't tell her that.
Shit,
But yeah.
I meant she's just under 55.
Yeah, she
Can we
is.
take that out?
Yeah.
I slandered Nana.
Cut that.
Yeah.
No.
So what you mentioned catering. So we will have the ability to bring in food trucks and things of that nature so that they can pop up because us stoners, we like to eat.
Yes.
Especially here on the pod.
We do have our own food and beverage at Cirrus.
Oh,
but
okay, cool.
The kitchen is a cold prep kitchen. We don't cook anything.
Okay.
So if you want to get into hosting a rehearsal dinner or something that usually would require a meal or stuff like that, we work with catering. Also on the weekends, every Saturday and Sunday, we are hoping to work with local catering companies and food trucks to do a brunch, a wake and bake brunch. Because we don't want to cook and we want to share that with, featuring different local businesses every week.
I love that too because like you were saying, you can highlight different entities.
Yeah.
You can have obviously Taco Tuesday is like a layup, but literally it's like, oh, you don't like the food at this restaurant, so you don't go there. And the same can be for the bar. Like we oftentimes don't eat at sports bars that suck. I don't go to Buffalo Wild Wings because the food is mid.
Yeah.
So I find another sports bar. So you're not getting...
But you go for the cheaper beer.
I mean, I'll go to a dive bar and get some pickle shots and $2 Miller Lights any day of the week.
There
Hell
you
yeah.
go. What you're describing too about the Rose Room and what we're talking about with like the brunch and the catering, that is like all of the additional parts of Cirrus. The main core of Cirrus, just to reiterate, like the main lounge is like a totally different thing though.
Well, let's talk about it without tipping the hand too terribly much.
Okay.
How many folks can sit and sesh at one time? Can you just walk in with your own flower?
No, you cannot walk in with your own flower.
Oh, what do we do?
It can seat 120 people comfortably in the main lounge area. You walk in. You would likely have a reservation. We're booked to 80% capacity. There's always room for walk-ins.
Okay.
But you would walk in. You'd give your ID. We would address you. We would say, Mr. Kip. Welcome for your reservation. We'd lead you back to your table. The first thing you'd see when you walk through the door would be our custom painted baby pink Steinway & Sons piano draped in beautiful chandeliers over the top.
Can you play a piano?
I can play a music major in college,
Oh,
of course I can. I tested out of piano. I haven't played in a long time, but this piano is actually playing itself.
Well played.
Right. And maybe on a Friday night there's a 4-piece band, but usually it's playing itself. And it's the world's best player piano. It's insane. It has this cast system that if Elton John was doing a concert at Steinway Music Hall in Brooklyn, our piano could play exactly how his fingers were stroking the keys or foot was touching the pedals. Like you can do a concert cast with it. Yeah, it's insane.
That's the welcome party right
That's
there.
right.
It's
When
like
first thing you see when you
Elton
walk through the main doors, right? After you've gone through the waiting room, which is also very beautiful and luxurious. So you walk in and you see this piano. You would get brought to your table, and let's say you were coming for I haven't talked about the evening service or released anything about that, but let's say you came from like noon to 6 p.m.
Okay.
And you came for high tea with your friends. So you would come sit down, you'd be given a little place card with the outline of the different cannabis you're going to have and try, the outline of the different teas you're going to try. You just have a little name, not a menu, but what they do it for flights a lot. I wish there was an itinerary.
Like for the omakase menus where it shows you what's going to be coming when it's paired and whatnot.
Exactly.
Okay.
You would be greeted.
I like it.
You would be greeted by a flight attendant, which is what the servers of cannabis at Cirrus are called. And the flight attendant would use our proprietary steps of service to take you through in learning about the cannabis, enjoying the cannabis, and seshing you out. Whether you're a first-time guest or a sophisticated stoner, our flight attendants are going to take care of you, and you're going to have a great time. Then you're going to have a lovely sampling of 3 different teas that you're going to try and see which one you like the best, and you would get a full cup of it. Then we're going to bring you out some lovely finger sandwiches, some locally sourced desserts and scones, and we're just going to have a grand old time seshing and having some high tea for about 2 hours.
I love it. So it'll kind of be metered out for you in the terms of if you do these reservations. For those you mentioned, there's walk-in available. Is there like an a la carte menu where I just want to come in, like show my parents the place? Be like, y'all, it's legal. You can sit down. Can we order like a joint or a bong? Like y'all have gorgeous seshware. Will it be available for guests to use, or do we bring our own bong?
Love that you use the word seshware.
I mean, it's gorgeous, and
That's
it needs
so
to be
great.
talked about. We need a good name for her, but it also needs to be appropriately addressed.
It is seshware, trademarked.
Bravo.
And it is a bouquet bong because there's 12 roses on her. Now I'm going to try to remember all the questions that you asked in the order that you asked them.
I
Because
do that a lot. You can answer
There won't
the
be
ones
any
you want.
joints. There's no paper in Cirrus. It's vapor or glass through glass consumption only. So no paper.
Shit.
And that's a distinction that's like when a lot of cannabis consumers are like, no joints, no blunts. It's like, yes, because do you want me to get your grandma in here? Because she doesn't want to come into a joint-filled, blunt-filled room. But she'll come into a room where people are taking bong rips and hitting volcano bags, which is the main source of what we're doing.
I love that. That's okay. And then how did you decide?
But the a la carte menu.
Oh, yeah, a la carte.
So in the case that you would bring your parents, we would really rather that you did the Cirrus sesh.
Yeah.
Not the reservation, just like you would go through the mode of the Cirrus sesh. Because if it's their first time and you're trying to change their mind, let us do our magic.
Yeah.
Now, if you come in and you're like, Arend, I don't want these 2 low-potency sun-grown flowers that you have on this menu for today. Well, great, Kip. You just need to become a Cirrus Social Club member for $20 a month, which unlocks an entirely new menu for you.
Get out of here. Okay, so you can tailor your experience based off of being a one-off. You can still come in and do what I'm calling the omakase experience, where you do the
Probably
pairings.
80% of our guests would be that.
Yeah. Okay. Interesting. And then how did you figure out whose flower you wanted to work with? Because I'm
Yeah.
sure a lot of vendors would like to know that. Our cannabis friends, like we're smoking today on that Meraki tops. Everyone knows that
I am smoking the Meraki tops.
it's delightful.
It's pretty
They have
good.
Gorgeous flower.
Y'all want this over there?
You want to get high? Ooh, come on, let's get high. We love background noise, so it's not a problem in the slightest.
We're joined by some members of the Cirrus team, our food and beverage director, Crystal Wing, and my assistant, Tia. They're dope. But where am I getting the flower?
Yeah.
Undecided, undetermined. We haven't made that relationship yet. But I will say that any cannabis brands or flower growers that can help us get investment to get our doors open on schedule are certainly going to be the first people I call to make an order from.
Well, that was going to be my next conversation point,
Period.
because obviously a lot of folks are eager to see when you're going to open these doors. But before we get that, we have a couple things we need to kind of iron out.
Let's do it. Keep ironing.
Yeah. So let's talk about what You mentioned investors if you wanted opportunities. You've been doing a lot of this, through your own connections and things of that nature. If someone wanted to kind of get involved or get more information, let's first talk about who do they need to reach out to? What's the email or things of that nature? Should they just DM you on Instagram? Let's do that, and then let's talk about the investment opportunity itself.
Yeah, definitely to reach me. Again, my name is spelled Arend. This is so hard for like audio format where we can't like throw the graphic up, because then also Cirrus is like, what is it called? How do you spell it? Like Cirrus, like the cloud, the highest cloud in the sky. So my email, my email is Arend at Cirrus Social Club. You can go to cirrussocialclub.com and submit a contact form. You can DM me on Instagram. Yell my name into the wind. I'll hear it, but I am definitely here and taking these conversations about investment as actively as possible.
Let's talk a little bit let's get that message out there. So for those that maybe you've piqued their interest, I think a lot of folks are eager that you're going to be opening your doors soon. It's a great opportunity to get involved if you happen to be a venture capitalist, someone that has a little bit of excess revenue or money sitting around and you wanted to let that money work for itself. Let's talk a little bit about the investment opportunity.
And also the third category I would add on to your description of this person would be if you're someone who is excited about creating something new for society that could honestly have a real big impact on the world, that's who I want to talk to. But also, there's an incredible opportunity. The project for Cirrus, it takes $2 million to build a brand new McDonald's. It takes twice that to renovate an existing building, and we're renovating a building from 1939. Earlier when I said when we pulled the carpet up at Cirrus, there was a pool under it.
A pool?
A pool.
Like
from 1939, a giant pool, the size of this house at least, in the ground.
Holy cow, really?
Yeah. So we had to fill that up. We had to do a lot of stuff. So this project is turning out to be a bit more than originally anticipated, but it doesn't matter because it's going to be very successful and do a great job. So we just need to make sure we can get the doors open. The investment opportunity is we're looking for someone who can do a minimum of $100,000. I would like 10 partners that are like Colorado based or interested in the concept in a way that they want to be like part of the team of helping for $100,000, and then maybe 2 for $1 million. So we're raising $3 million. And we've already got $1 million in the project.
Okay, so y'all are well on your way.
We're on the way. Yeah.
But we've got a little bit of ways to go.
We've got a little ways to go.
Well, for those that are listening, if y'all are curious, he is literally the only one with a standing license that allows literal consumption. I think Dwayne's going to court like today for his most recent bullshit charge that he got drummed up. But y'all are doing it so that you can have a legitimate, safe location where you can buy and smoke cannabis inside proprietary Denver, Colorado, along one of the busiest avenues in America.
Yeah, I'm doing it to have 3 generations of people have new conversations and to produce glamour to the world that is desperately needed. Commercial stuff is so boring right now. And just because I feel like it sounds like fun, but yeah, also what you said.
You mentioned, it's going to be different than other things. You want to make it special. You want to kind of be like the beacon for others to look towards. Give us a little taste of what else we can expect on the inside. Like, are we going to do, you mentioned a 4-piece band on some maybe occasions or evenings. Do you have any other like fun ideas that will be taking place that you can only find at a Cirrus Social Club event?
Yeah, I think that there's a lot of really exciting things. And there's like a scale of mind-blowing stuff that I can tell you off air too. But to throw a couple cute little things, obviously we have some of the best seshware in the world, period. So we've got cases of gorgeous glass. If you come for tea time, every teacup in the whole place is going to be different. So restoring antique pieces and re-loving pieces that have already been loved is a really exciting part of Cirrus. We've got a beautiful stained glass that we're using because you have to have an opaque barrier from you to the outside, like people can't see in seshing. So we're working with some really beautiful stained glass artists that are doing that whole block from the outside in a new, unique kind of way that we're really excited about. I love the lighting. Oh my gosh, what are you saying? Oh yes, we have a I know. If you're familiar with Grow Love, the muralist, she's the one who's doing a ton of incredible flower work. She's doing the Coors building right now.
Okay, yeah.
She's doing our mural on our corner of Cirrus, right on Colfax and Steel, and it's a gorgeous floral bouquet that her and I have like designed together. That's just going to be incredible. So there's a lot.
There's a lot of personal touches in there that will differentiate yourself from the others that are doing this across the country.
3 big floral designs that change every week. Inside.
Oh, I was about to say, yeah, damn, on the stained glass? How the fuck did you do that?
No, we're also opening a flower shop next door. So it's the Sears Flower Shop. I haven't even talked about that yet.
Flowers.
I love flowers.
You have videos on your social page, and I'm like, man, that just looks awesome. Like,
Flowers
and you're like, when you do the videos and you're like going through and you're like plucking out some and keeping them, I'm like, we need that. Eve, we got to keep our plants alive upstairs.
Flowers are the window to conscious evolution, I think.
Jesus, I don't even know. That's such a big word. I have to think about it for a second.
That's literally the mission of Cirrus Social Club, is to help humanity evolve consciously through the use of cannabis. And you can ask me what that means, or we cannot.
No, please elaborate, because not only do I have no clue what you're talking about, I have a sneaking suspicion of a lot of our listeners are in my camp as well.
The quickest route to that answer would be a book by Eckhart Tolle called A New Earth. And a lot of people find that book when they're in a low point in their life. That's when I found it. And it's just talking about like how we as humans have the same brain that we've had for a very long time. And our next step in evolution is not necessarily going to be a physical one, but a conscious realization of actualizing our consciousness instead of just like being because you are, like being the driver. And the one main way that you do that is the thoughts that are constantly running through your head, you just have to realize are not you, but you are the awareness of those thoughts. Just like you're the awareness of the way this room smells, I'm the awareness of the sight of you, but I am not the sight of you. I'm not the thoughts.
Huh.
And flowers are a really beautiful, yeah, it's this whole thing, yeah.
I love it. Well, you're evolving the cannabis tourism scene. I think you're looking obviously at it from a different angle and through a different prism, and I love that. Before we let you go, or before we dive back into the personal fun questions, how big of a bitch was it working with the city of Denver to get this done? From like building permits to, like you mentioned earlier, with you have to have a property for a year before you can, so then you're sitting there eating a year's worth of bills just so you can properly apply. Give us a little rundown of how miserable that process has been.
It's really easy to want to blame the people that are like responsible for all of the positions, but at the end of the day, it's not their fault. So I would just make that distinction up front, and that's something that I've learned. Like, I really don't want to blame any of the people that are like working directly for the city of Denver.
It's not Deborah. It's the system
but the whole
that Deborah
system
has to be the face of.
Sucks. It sucks. It's a nightmare. I've spent almost $500,000 on rent on a building that I haven't been able to even start construction on until now. You know what I mean? Like it's an absolute nightmare that it's so ass backwards as a city. And I think a lot of times people don't really realize that. It's that thing of like a lot of the laws and things that we've voted in Denver are to keep like big corporations like Walmart out of the city of Denver, and that's great, but it also like really makes it difficult for small business owners at times.
Yeah, I mean, Shannon Donnelly, who used to work for the city,
shouts out Shannon.
Yeah, she's a sweetheart. Love
she's
that
a sweetheart.
She mentioned like something like, for years, because of the health conscious concept of Denver and Colorado being a little more progressive in that nature, we did everything in our power through legislation to weed out, pardon the pun, smoke from bars and buildings. So they made it just like virtually impossible now to retroactively have to like try to like fit into these little niches. They're having to kind of create caveats for y'all to kind of get through.
Yep.
So I applaud you for at least going through the process, standing up for those that have not been able. You're blazing that path.
Yeah. Because
we have seen obviously turmoil in the community, but we've also tried to like shout out to Stephen Wolf, who does the Groovy Gravy events around the community, which highlights like local concentrates and, hash parties, and as well as chefs and doing things in the community. But he's trying to get like a group together to have a conversation with the city about how can we do this? Like, how can we Do we have to lobby to get the laws changed?
Right.
Like, what do we have to fucking do?
The problem in total is that the discussions about changing the rules are never in the room that the people doing the actions are happening, and that is the big problem. So like, I'll get asked by somebody like, "Oh, did you go to this meeting that you didn't know about, that nobody told you about, that no one's ever heard about, and you should have been in?" And I'm like, "No, I'm running a business. Like, I'd love to talk to the city of Denver. I'm in their email all the time. Like, how do we bridge that gap better would be something that would be amazing." But also they say that it's just what it is for like all the industries in Denver. But I'm like, no, I don't know. It's really
I know
bad.
that our restaurant friends have had similar issues. Like, they have to wait every month for a new permit before they can move in a new oven. Make sure this is checked off by the fire department. And odds are the bureaucracy and all of that situation comes from they just want to get more money out of you. It feels like it's always like, oh, well, did you apply and get this permit, or did you pay this fee to get the application completed? It seems like they just continue to make hoops to make it difficult.
It's the thin line of, yes, they want to nickel and dime you for everything, and then on the other side, it's also like, to be a mainstream liberal city and be accessible to everyone, there are certain checks and balances that they have deemed will make Denver the best place in perpetuity. It's just, why can't they do it more efficiently? But when has a government been efficient?
That's a very good point. And at the same time, when you mention how the fuck am I supposed to know about these meetings, I think part of it is they bury that thing so deep they don't want us in that room asking questions.
It's not English. None of it's English anyway.
Yeah.
I can't go in there and have a conversation and be like, "You're making rules about the business that I'm running, that none of you are running, that none of you have ever run before, and you're not even taking my opinion? I'm the bold one going out here to get tourism to Denver, and you're not including me or any of us? Weird take, bruh."
Have you worked with, like, obviously it's a different entity in itself, but like the Visit Denver folks, or maybe like any of those people to kind of like rally and get like maybe like a loud voice that maybe is on the inside that could possibly help? Because that's what I've often wondered. Like, I know Shannon is with the school and was working with the city, but like, it helps when we have someone that we can at least bounce questions off of. I don't have any of those fucking contacts. Like, I would love to know, besides shout out to Ian, who works for Governor Polis, but this is
shouts out to Ian Sieb.
And I ran into Mike Johnston the other day, or last night actually, at the Michelin thing, and said who I was, told him what we do. That was my elevator pitch. I wasn't like, hey, let's make it a little bit more relaxed. But I want to know how we need to go about that. Is it just like you said, flood their fucking inbox until they finally know who we are? Or is there a methodical approach to this?
I think you make a great point in that we should definitely be reaching out to the Travel Denver people for our own current causes of sourcing investment. But also, just mentioning that out loud so I don't forget. But also, I think, for me with Cirrus, we built Cirrus around the restrictions that Denver laid out to operate within those just fine. And I really do feel like cannabis hospitality will only get more lax, hopefully. And I know a lot of people are like, businesses were operating and now they're shut down. It's not more lax. They keep making things worse. And it's like, no, it went from being private to public, which in a way is more lax. But now the problem is, you have to make your business accessible to everyone, and you have to be mindful of international law ventilation requirements because you're a public access business.
And that was kind of like what we were harping on earlier,
Yeah.
but you definitely need to reach out to the Travel and Visit Denver and Visit CO crew, as well as I'm going to start stewing on some more just like random folks that may be able to assist you in the venture. But that is a serious concern, is the tourism aspect, because as more of the country becomes legalized in terms of cannabis, my parents who love doing the grow towards Seton Smith, shout out to Seton Smith, and doing it at Cali's Cannabis, shout out to Charles and the fam over there. Those folks that maybe used to come out here just to do that tour before, or do a weekend bachelor or bachelorette party for the stoners, they can now do that in Jersey City. They can fucking do it in Tulsa. But you can do it, like Trinidad is just a skeleton of what it once was because of the New Mexico consumer base. Now they have their own dispensaries down the street. So you are going to be this like guiding light for the industry. That should resonate with some folks in the business. Like, we're losing tourism dollars as it becomes more mainstream across the country. But what you're doing is revolutionizing a different aspect of the industry. It's like, oh, bring your mom out to Denver, eat at a Michelin star restaurant, and then, have a Michelin smoke, worthy experience.
And that's what I pray that it is. Yeah, you're 100% correct. And thank you. That's the argument that I'm literally going to take to so many travel agencies for Denver and just linking people, because I agree with you. And I say this all the time. Las Vegas has so many coming down the pipeline. Cirrus should be first. Denver should be first. This is our right to do this first and be on the forefront. And it would be, I'm not saying I don't have it, but it would be super dope to have Denver and Colorado supporting this, because I believe Cirrus is going to go global, and I think that we can all sit here from Colorado and be like, that's ours.
I fucking love it. And I couldn't agree more. I think the model you have in place with doing it differently than others, providing like an elevated experience is going to definitely resonate, because as it becomes a little bit more less taboo, like we're seeing folks like moms, you're seeing the Cherry Creek crowd is now carrying their vape pen as they go in to mediocre restaurants like Ocean Prime, stuff
Period, Kip, you said that.
I said it. And it's okay. We gave a lot of good shout outs at the beginning of this episode.
I hate seafood.
For restaurants. So I don't mind burning the one location that asks for you to not have a scent of marijuana when you come into the restaurant.
That was them. That was Ocean Prime.
Well, there's one, the place that went viral for the meme was in Dallas, but Ocean Prime, Colorado has a sign, and somebody sent it to me the other day. They were like, be careful throwing those stones in this glass house, because we have them right fucking there on Larimer and right down in DTC. They're like, please don't smell like weed when you come into our mediocre Cisco, shit.
I won't.
Seafood restaurant.
And you know why I won't? Because I won't be going in.
I could not agree more.
I also don't really eat seafood, but
well, that's fair. We won't throw any hate at that. We will.
Colorado born and raised. Colorado born and raised. I was nowhere near an ocean. I don't trust
that is fair.
Fish.
And the game has changed a little bit for the food, but as we're kind of shifting gears out of the business talk and back into personal, this episode's gone long, so I don't mind, Eve. We're just double dipping the episodes today.
Do you mind, Eve? I'm having so much fun with you.
What the fuck? That wasn't even that funny, and you can't.
It's because I'm gay, Kip. We're on a different wavelength. Yes. Yeah.
That's so fucked up. But at the same time,
if you said the same thing I said, it would just make her ick.
She'd be like, God damn it, get me out of this podcast studio. I hate coming here twice a week. Okay, so personal questions. You mentioned earlier that obviously everyone in New York has two jobs, unless their one job is, to steal money from Nana. Shout out to Phi Dye. We love the Dead Rabbit Bar. But you have a little bit of a restaurant love. Maybe not foodie as you are a weedie, but you've been here since you were born. What's your favorite restaurant in town? What's the old reliable that's never lets you down?
Oof. I don't know if you're going to like my answer because it's not an only Colorado thing.
That's okay.
But the place I take everybody for like a nice dinner is Barcelona.
Oh, really?
I love it.
Okay.
It's very fun. But if my real
they have
answer,
a solid happy hour.
Sure. And this is the other thing about this is getting back into the native thing, right? Because I feel like natives who are around my age, like no one's from Denver proper. Like people are from outside of Denver.
Yeah.
And I grew up in a suburb. So like my true answer of like what my favorite place to go eat is like Santiago's or like Texas Roadhouse, like suburb shit.
That's totally understandable. And Santiago's, it's like when I say Arvada or Arvada, whatever.
Controversial opinion, Santiago should be in Casa Bonita instead.
Whoa, that is very controversial. I'm not necessarily a fan of Santiago's. Breakfast burritos, Santiago's, but I like their hot salsa. I think they do really well on their spice profiles and flavors.
Yeah.
I really enjoy that. But
have it for dinner. A smothered bean burrito. Half and half. Have it for dinner one day. That's when I eat it, for dinner. I've never had a breakfast burrito from there.
Who has your favorite tacos?
My favorite tacos is Tacos El Metate.
Where's Tacos Metate?
It's on University in 25. It's very good.
Okay.
Tacos El Metate.
That's what I'm talking about. That was that insider knowledge we needed. Thank you for that.
Yeah.
All right. So
I like Texas Roadhouse.
I know. I was like, is that the one where you throw peanut shells on the ground?
Yeah, not since COVID though.
Okay. Here's the tough question that we ask all of our guests.
Okay.
It's called the Last Supper question, and it's presented by our friends over at Mr. B's Liquors. There's 3 locations across the metro: Stanley, the Golden Triangle, downtown Ballpark. They've got everything from the natural wines to the craft beers and all the hard liquor you could ever want. High end, bottom shelf. They've got something for you. Check out Mr. B's. It's called the Last Supper. You get 3 people to join you, dead or alive, but they cannot be friends or family, and they cannot have gluten allergies. What are we going to do, and who are we inviting to your Last Supper?
Okay, this is really
And what kind of bread?
Question.
What's your number 1 bread?
Dinner rolls.
Like the Parker House?
With like an apple cinnamon butter.
Okay, going. It is the season.
The softer and mushier, the better.
This is mean. I am so sorry that we're doing this to you.
There's butter on top.
God, it sounds so good.
So we're talking about food first. So that
you can do food.
We're having steak.
Yay!
We're having steak. I would actually like also a starter of some Wagyu. I had Wagyu recently for the first time. Loved it. Big
Where'd you
fan.
have it?
Someplace in LA. It was $98 an ounce.
5, 7.
What does that mean?
I think there's like gradings on like the marbling scale for the steak.
He was like, this is from Japan. We are the only person in California that can get it.
Exclusivity is like one of my favorite things.
I know. You had to be a member to even go to the steakhouse.
God damn,
and the night
where
before.
the fuck are you eating?
No. So, okay. Quick side story.
We love tangents.
There are these 2. I was in LA, and 2 nights in a row, I was taken out by 2 different ladies to different private members only places. It was incredible. They put stickers on my cell phone so you couldn't like take pictures because there was like celebrities everywhere. And the branding that you people are missing out on social media that's in these private clubs is so iconic. Like, oh my God, this green and white and pink, the San Vicente bungalows it's called. Oh my God, take me back there. Oh, you need to go. You need to find somebody in LA who's a member and you need to go. And then, then there was the steakhouse, which was just crazy. Luxe, super luxe. But the San Vicente bungalows, oh my God, I was in a fantasy. It was unreal. My life was a movie. It was crazy.
Your life is a fucking movie, and y'all capture it beautifully. Shout out to your team. Like, y'all's content is wonderful, and we're working up to being like y'all, but you have a very large head start with growing multiple YouTube channels and things of that nature, but your life is a movie, so don't pretend like it's not.
No, I don't.
And we'll ask.
I really need the movie to get good again. We need our up arc.
that montage where like things are going. It's like working 9 to 5.
Yeah, I need
it
that.
Just shows like the progression of the Cirrus Social Club.
Yeah, because now it's like a Saw movie and we're on the floor crying. No, I'm just kidding. Wait. Okay, let's go back on track.
Okay, so who are our guests and what are our sides? Because you can't just have steak and bread. That is classic Denver.
Mashed potatoes, macaroni and cheese, and corn.
You're a fucking Texas Roadhouse.
I am. But the thing is that it's scalable Texas Roadhouse. So like the nicer steakhouse you go to, I'm gonna like the mashed potatoes and cream corn more.
If you don't like mashed potatoes and cream corn, it's kind of like the Chappelle skit. Like if you don't like fried chicken and watermelon, who the fuck are you? Like, who doesn't like these things? So
like
you are
fried
right.
chicken?
Like,
Yeah.
elevated mashed potatoes are the best. Like, when they use the ricer.
Oh, like, what's it called when scalloped potatoes, like, elevated? Oh, my God.
Yeah, I grew up with the Betty Crocker ones where they came out, like, already, like, dehydrated shells and you just put them in a Pyrex dish.
Yeah.
We were white trash. But at the same time... yeah, you know what I'm saying. It's like the hamburger helpers of scalloped potatoes, but the real ones,
I grew up on those too.
They're great. And now there's so many fancy potatoes, like the layering of the thin ones that look like and then you fry them or skillet them and they kind of like flake. There's a word with a P, it's French. Fucking awesome. Potatoes are awesome.
I love potatoes.
God damn it. Okay, that's a great menu.
And things with cheese on them.
Yeah, they're so good.
Yeah. And then guests would be, I've really tried to think about this and I only have one. Oprah Winfrey.
She's from Mississippi. I don't know if y'all knew that. Shout out to me.
Shout out to you. I didn't know that.
Your team is sending people.
My team is holding up pictures of people for me to say, but I don't know if that's the case because the question is, who do I actually want to before I die, not who am I trying to get a brand deal with. So Oprah Winfrey, let's just throw this one out there. Jesus Christ, because I have questions, comments, and concerns. And
That's fair.
The final one, and they can't be a friend or family.
No. I know you want to bring Nana, but she is not allowed.
No. I guess if we're eating and we're smoking weed, you guys, this is really, it's just because I'm having a hard time thinking of anybody. Alana Glazer. I feel like it would be a fun night.
We're going to have to look that one up.
Broad City.
Which one is she in Broad City?
The curly-haired one.
That's why she doesn't think you're funny, because you don't know what Broad City is.
I've seen Broad City. I just don't know the actors' names.
I feel like Eve's afraid to smile all the way in front of you.
I know. Like, what the fuck? I don't even do. I'm very harmless. I don't get it. It's since day one. I've gotten like a smile out of her. So, bravo, way to go! You made Eve smile.
Well, now we know it's possible.
Arend, thank you so much for taking the time to join us today. For a quick recap, give everybody your social handles, how they can follow you, learn more about the club and when it may be opening. We'll let you tease those days on your own. And then also a reminder for those that if they want more information or the pitch deck. I know that we have it and we'll be happy to share it, but let everybody else know if they want to get more information about the club and how they can get involved. Give it to us.
I have to give you the updated one that says on the front page, it's like if Martha Stewart opened a weed lounge. That's what the new front page says.
Look at that. Martha Stewart was on the short list for Last Supper guest, I saw.
Martha Stewart was on the short list as well as Taylor Swift. But I don't really want to get high with Taylor Swift. That
Honorable
feels weird.
mentions.
Yeah.
Future investor. Let's go.
Yes. My name is Arend, Arend. With a D on the end. Cirrus is spelled Cirrus. So you can find me on social media, Arend Richards You can find Cirrus Social Club You can go to cirrussocialclub.com and fill out the form. And again, we're really available for conversation.
You're a wonderful conversationalist, and I appreciate you taking the time out of your day to join us here on the podcast. Y'all got all of his information. Y'all need to be on the lookout. Follow him on social media. Y'all's content is second to none. It's wonderful stuff. We love having you in our house. Thank you so much for the seshware as well. It's gorgeous. Let's turn off these mics and catch a fade.
Great. Thanks, Eve.
Thanks, Eve. Oh, wait, shit. Give Arend a good Eve fact.
I don't know. I hate tapioca pudding.
Yeah, period. Same.
Okay.
So how do you feel about Texas Roadhouse?
I've never been.
I can't wait to take you.
She's from Maine, so I don't think they probably have those up there.
They do.
You think so?
Oh, they're in Dubai.
There might be a couple.
If you had to watch one movie for the rest of your life, what would it be?
Avatar, probably. If I could watch the whole series. And if it's only one. What do you mean?
Wait, Avatar the Airbender or Avatar the
Aliens.
Purple People?
The Purple People.
Okay.
Interesting.
I wrote 2 sci-fi novels. I really love space and
You wrote
aliens.
2 sci-fi novels?
Yeah, during the pandemic. They're gay main character sci-fi novels. They're called Being Found. They have 5-star reviews on Amazon. Please go read it if you like sci-fi. You'll love it.
That's wonderful. I can't believe it. It took us to the last 30 seconds. Tapioca pudding brings out the best in everybody's conversation.
Absolutely.
Until next week, y'all stay high, stay happy.
Stay stoned.
Yeah, what he said.
Cheers.